What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Thursday night's Late Night Agenda. And I'm not going to lie to you, from the start, this is going to be a tough stream. There's going to be a lot of emotion back and forth. We're going to be frustrated with a lot of what we hear and read. But let's just get stuck into it as always. Anything that you guys want to go through, you know the drill. Lash it into the chat and I'll do my best to get to it. But it is going to be a difficult stream, as I've mentioned, because it's grim reading out there today as a Liverpool fan. And looking at what's in the media around the Trent contract, of course, we're going to discuss that. It's not just Madrid now. We've got English-based people starting to feel like the time's up and Trent's on his way. We're going to be telling you why Liverpool have loads of money, apparently, but there are no players out there that we can sign because there isn't enough quality. That's the latest bit of nonsense that you're being told to swallow from the club. So we'll go through all of that as well. We're going to be telling you why Omar Marmoush is going to Manchester City. They're seemingly able to find players in this window despite, I don't know, being falling down the league table. But for us, same old, same old. So we're going to go through all of that. We're going to be giving you the latest on some loan moves. We're going to be talking about Al Hilal and their interest in Mohamed Salah. Lots more. And I wish it was an upbeat one, folks. I wish it was a positive one. But what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to try and do is just let you guys have your say. You know, you don't want me coming in ratting about journalists and all. You've heard it all before. You've seen it all before. Today it's about you guys expressing how you feel. So let's get stuck into it. And thank you for joining us. Right. So where do we go with it? Where do we start off then? Should we do it chronologically? Because I feel like that's the easiest way for me to work through it all. I'm going to start off with a post about Jayden Danns that was doing the rounds today. And that one is at least realistic. So this post here, posted on the Anfield Agenda X account, said there's a loan interest in Jayden Danns from the Championship this month. We've spoken about that quite a bit. Stoke City, the latest side to declare their interest in the race for Jayden Danns' signature. Now, it will of course only be a loan move, but I understand it. If the club feel like Jayden needs to go get minutes, absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. It'll be interesting to see if we see Darwin Núñez in the matchday squad this weekend. You know, he was suspended for the last game, so he should return in for this one. The next one is from James Pearce. And again, it's a kind of, what's the point of this kind of post? So, upgrading at left back is high on Liverpool's to-do list, but it would be a huge surprise if they decided to have 3 senior left backs in the squad for the rest of the campaign. Again, according to James Pearce of The Athletic, a lot of the same old nonsense here basically just being repeated, you know. Liverpool want to do stuff, but it's difficult. Liverpool have plans, but they can't put them into place. But the one that really winds me up the most, and the one I guess I really wanted to kick off on tonight, was a post from the Mirror that said Liverpool have money to spend after making a profit in the summer transfer window, but they cannot compete, and they cannot complete, the quality of deals they would want. Now, that in itself to me is a piss take if that's what the club are briefing. And I don't like the line that says Liverpool have money to spend after making a profit in the summer transfer window. Liverpool would have money to spend either way. And the fact that we made a profit in the summer transfer window, in my opinion, is not at all something to be celebrated. It's something that we should be critical of. Because making profits is great for the owners, not so great for us fans who want the squad strengthened. So I want to ask the question, how is it that for Liverpool, the players aren't out there? We can't find any players. Have money now, so we're admitting the money's there, but now we just can't find players. City can find them, other clubs can find them, Villa can find them, but it's always the same old for us. We would do it if there was a player available. Well, how about being proactive, like Manchester City have done? They're going to Juventus to try and sign one of their players. They've agreed a deal for Omar Marmoush. They're going out there and splashing the cash because they've had a poor start to the season and they want to catch back up. Meanwhile, we sit on our hands and swallow the bullshit that gets leaked out to us in the media from the owners who, quite simply, as I've said many times, just don't give a damn. Right. Whitehammer, first super chat of the night, said, I'm sick of no decisions being made. Everything's left. Yep, and do you know the next one? The next one that got me was this one, which is also from the Mirror that says, Arne Slot is not convinced by Jarell Kwanzaa. So, last night we spoke about Kiesa not getting a look in, Elliott not getting a look in, and now we can add another name to that list according to the Mirror. So we're carrying a squad that already have players the manager doesn't rate, who were unwilling to sell or move on, who were unwilling to go out there and bring in replacements for, but now we're being convinced as well that we can't find anyone. Which one is it? Does the manager not rate these guys? And if that's the case, why aren't they out the door? You know, I rate Elliott. It's not about what my opinion is. But if the manager doesn't rate Kwanzaa, which seemingly has some sensibility to it, considering he's getting very few minutes this season, if the manager doesn't rate Elliott, if the manager doesn't rate Kiesa, what are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know. So what we're going to do tonight is work through it all. We're going to talk about the Trent stuff, of course, and you're going to tell me one journalist said one thing and somebody else is saying one journalist said another thing. But whatever you think, once again, you can see the narrative is going in one direction, and that is Madrid's favour. Now you can throw in the Al Hilal Salah stuff, and we're going to talk about that in more detail as well. So I'm not asking you who you believe, but I'm asking you to just, at the very least, admit that it's a distraction. Admit that we need to call this out and speak up about it, because the fact that the narrative is being seized by Madrid yet again. And there's a split on journalists on this, by the way. Some journalists feel like Trent hasn't made the decision, as per Melissa Reddy, I think somebody said there. But I can show you 3 or 4 others that do. And I don't know. But I know that Trent's keeping stum about it, and that's not helping this situation. So let's run through some of the stories that have been doing the rounds about Trent today. And the first one came from Madrid Extra, who are, of course, going to be very pro-Real Madrid. They're quoting Marca, and they say, breaking, Trent Alexander-Arnold to Madrid is done. Done in capitals. Decision pending on a January or July move. Next one up after that, we had a report that said from Alex Crook, who I believe is TalkSport, said Liverpool are aware there is a strong possibility that Trent Alexander-Arnold decides to move to Real Madrid when his contract expires at the end of the season. And then another one that just came on a little bit before we started was a report from Graham Bailey, who said Trent Alexander-Arnold is ready to confirm that he will be joining Real Madrid in 2025. So, take from that what you want. But yet again, it is a situation where the club are looking like absolute arseholes, useless, being bullied in the media, and we just say nothing about it, and we're supposed to believe everything's great. You know, you're going to tell me that some journalists say it's not done. But here's my question to you. Who's telling you he's staying? Because the difference between it's not done yet and he's staying is a great difference. And I'm not seeing much positivity around the idea of him staying. I don't know what the decision is, but I just want him to speak about it and make it clear to the fans. Because this situation is going to unravel our season and the other contracts. And somebody needs to be responsible for it. And it isn't the fans' fault. So, who is it? The players? The agents? The club? Somebody needs to take some responsibility on this, because it's just not fair to the rest of us. Do you know how many times over the last 3 or 4 days I've had people say to me, either in Discord or by email or on the phone when I'm chatting with them, do you know what, Craig? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel unhappy when we're top of the league? And I sat back and I've thought about this. And am I responsible for some of this? Am I just being negative for the sake of it? And then I keep coming back and forth. And I've come to the conclusion that, no, I'm not the cause of it. You're not the cause of it. You don't want to feel the way you feel about it. But the inactivity and the indecision by the club is embarrassing. And it's putting good positions at jeopardy. For what? And that's where the problem is. We don't know. Is it money? I've got the feeling the 3 contract offers that are on the table of lowball the 3 boys. They don't want to accept them. They're trying to put the pressure on, like with Mohamed Salah now with the Al Hilal stuff. The club are pushing back. And all of it is just toxic. None of it brings people together. None of it resolves the issues. It's just a battle for hearts and minds in the media. And it's tiring for us fans. So that's what I would say tonight. We're all exhausted. We're top of the league. We should be happy. But we've seen this play out before. And you've every right to be frustrated by that and confused about it. Andy said, hey Craig, can you say happy birthday, Andy? Of course I can, Andy. Happy birthday, my friend. Welcome in. Thank you for being with us, and many happy returns to you. Tipsy Dipsy said, Richard Hughes has been on holiday ever since him and Michael Edwards brought in Slot. I hope Slot will speak up if he doesn't get the players he needs. So I'm okay with Slot not speaking up. But here's what I'm not okay with, Tipsy And feel free to pass this along to, Lala as well. I'm not okay with people just thinking that what the manager says is gospel. So he has to publicly say he's happy. He has to publicly back his players. That's his job. Get it? I understand it. He's new in the door. But we don't have to swallow it. So we need to get to a point where fans understand that we are manipulated, whether you want to admit that or not. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, but certainly we're manipulated. And football isn't as transparent as it looks on the outside at times. You know, we know Klopp wasn't happy behind the scenes. Don't try and tell us he was. There was stuff that was pissing him off, and he looks like a new man now, that he's free from all the hassle of the PGMOL, the scrutiny of the Premier League, the lack of backing by the owners, and every other reason that a manager will get drawn down. And it is tiring. Adam said, we as fans should be absolutely loving the season, but I feel, I'm wishing the time away so we can finally know what's going on. I absolutely hate it. It's so difficult, isn't it? It's so difficult, mate. And, you know, I go back and forth on this as well. And I hate myself for feeling that way at times. But I don't think it's unwarranted or unfounded. I think there are valid reasons for Liverpool fans to look at it and go, this doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't pass the smell test. Everybody's happy, but yet no one's extended. The club's in a great place, but yet we're not buying anybody. There's no available players, but yet we see other clubs out there doing business. And every window, there's a new excuse. And some people, I guess out of the goodness of their own spirit, want to give the benefit of the doubt and let this go on to the next window. But you're watching a great group of players being run into the ground with no strengthening. And that to me is just inexcusable. And I don't really care who people want to blame, whether it's Hughes, Edwards, Slot, whatever. Just start being more vocal about it. Because the only thing I've ever seen that really pushes FSG to action is discontent and bad media and bad PR. So we're going to have to up the ante here. If, of course, you are unhappy. If you're not unhappy, absolutely no issues. And you shouldn't be unhappy with what you're seeing on the pitch with regards to the league table, but you should be concerned about fatigue and some of the other stuff that we've been seeing recently. Defensive lapses. It's okay to admit left back isn't good enough. It's okay to think we need another centre back. It's okay to call out the stupid hypocrisies of why Kiesa and Elliott are in squads if the manager doesn't trust them or want them. It's not you that's saying it, but these are the things that we're seeing in front of our eyes. Will said, I'm just fed up with this. Trent's performances is shocking since the news of Rail being interested. But my frustration time after time is FSG. Spend some bloody money, said Will. Yeah. Spend some money. Proper order, mate. So Brighton and Hove Albion are the favourites, by the way, according to the bookies, for Harvey Elliott's signature. 6-4, they reckon, the most likely for him. Borussia Dortmund at 8-5, they're showing interest as well. Forest and Bournemouth a little bit further back. And the question then was, does Harvey Elliott leave this month? And that makes me sick. Because we know we need players, and we're not doing that. And I don't buy it. I'm going to ask the question. First poll of the night. So the question that I'm going to ask for the first poll of the night is, do you believe that we just cannot find the players? Because that's what's being put out there today. Those of you maybe who are coming a little bit later in the stream, the question that I'm asking is based off an article from the Mirror and a piece that said Liverpool have money to spend after making a profit in the summer transfer window, but they can't compete, or they can't complete the quality of deals that they would want. There's always an excuse, isn't there? So we can't complete the quality. Now it's not a money issue. We have that, but there's nobody out there. There's nobody that Liverpool can bring in. What about Martin Zubamendi? Can we get his signature for the summer even if that's the case? Why are we letting Omar Marmoush walk to Manchester City? Why are we not being pro? How come everybody else can always find players, but there's always an excuse for Liverpool? It's tiring. So if they have the money, where's the contracts? It's a very good point, Marco. It's a very good point. Yeah, all this money that we've saved and all this money we've generated and all the other stuff, none of the stuff adds up, mate. You're right, none of it adds up. So I really feel in my heart of hearts now that yes, there's contracts with all the players, but they're lowballing ones. They must be. Because you've got Virgil and Mo who want to stay. They have contract offers in front of them, but they haven't signed them. Now, why haven't they signed them? And again, Ben Jacobs reporting this. Liverpool's still optimistic Salah will stay. The contract offer remains on the table. That last line, the last line of that I think is crucial. The contract offer remains on the table. So it's not getting improved. There's no revisiting it. Here's the contract offer Liverpool have offered. So that way, if Salah does go, they can just go, well, we tried. We put an offer towards him. And then he becomes the villain. I feel they're just being cheap and lowballing. And I feel like they're hoping that the lads basically just get fatigued by it and think, oh, just take it. I can't be bothered. I don't want to uproot my family. And all the other stuff. And it's disgusting. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And the owner should be absolutely lambasted for this crap. I think we should just sell the club, said Ashley. Well, we don't own the club, mate, so we can't sell it. But my gripe is they don't have the appetite for it. They're not fussed about it. Their focus is on Boston at the minute and lots of other projects they have on. And Liverpool are just ticking along, doing well in the league, generating the money for the owners. The revenue is going up. The value of the club's going up. And yet, the players just getting run into the ground. So we're working with a squad now that's already probably rather small. And now it's a squad that's small with players the manager doesn't want and trust. But we go on week after week with half the bench not being given a sniff. Why are we carrying these players in squads? You know, let's be fucking ruthless about this. If the manager doesn't rate players, that's okay. Every manager will have their own favourites. People they like, people they don't like. It's not a reflection on us fans. But where's the ruthless streak? Craig, if it was you, what would you do if you were one of the big three? I'd like to say there's always time for a deadline and an ultimatum on either side. So whether I'm the player, the agent, or whether I'm the club, you set a deadline, a hard and fast deadline, and you say, this is the best that we can do. We can't move on this. This is it. And the other side can say, well, this is how much we want. We're not moving on it. Set a deadline and then be decisive. But what seems to be happening is that we're dragging this out. We're going to go through another window with the whole crap, and then the season goes on and we drag it out and we still don't know what's going on. Then we get told that there's no instability. The players aren't distracted. Everything's great. We should all be ashamed of ourselves for thinking otherwise, despite what the evidence is in front of our eyes. I like this comment because I think it's true, James. So James Cruikshank said, Liverpool massively overachieve when you see how little the team gets backed. Yes. And that's probably a bad thing for us fans. Because that just emboldens FSG to go, top of the league, what are these idiots moaning about? But we were top of the league last season. And we've been in positions before where we've seen this play out. And they don't learn their lessons. Or at least, maybe they are learning the lessons, but they just don't care. Either way, this isn't an anti-Arne Slot and the boys. This is an anti-FSG thing for me. Because I'll always have the players' backs and the manager's back. And if I was to tell you how I really felt about the Trent situation, I'd probably get in a lot of trouble. I've given you a glimpse of it. I've told you I think he's a coward. And I do. I think Trent should grow a pair and man up. And if he's made a decision, be honest about it. But there's not one fibre of my body that believes he doesn't know whether he wants to be in Liverpool or Madrid. You can get into the nitty-gritty of the contract and the numbers all you want. That's fair enough. But it doesn't take this long to know what you want to do. It doesn't. In any walk of life, with any decision ever. You have had 18 months or at least 7 or 8 months since Jurgen announced he was heading off. And we're still at a point where we're all supposed to believe that he hasn't made his fucking mind up. Again, this is us being treated like idiots by him, by the club, and by everybody involved in this. Of course he knows what he wants to do. And all signs point to he wants to go. In my head. But again, I'm trying to just piece this together the same as everybody else. And I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I know bullshit when I smell it. Craig, I feel like the club might be back on the market soon enough. It's the only explanation that seems to make sense right now for no investment. I don't think that they're going to sell it, personally. I'd love it to be the case, but I don't get any indication that they are going to sell it. But look, again, I hope I'm wrong on that one, because getting rid of these clowns would very much make me happier. If we're not going to spend 40 to 60 million on any players, don't we have the scouts to find hidden gems? So even at that, it's embarrassing. Why aren't we out there for the 50, 60 million pound players? You know, why should we always have to scrape the bottom of the barrel? But when we want to sell our players, we expect top dollar. They played for Liverpool Football Club. They command huge fees. But when we want to buy them, we go cheap. And look, I get it. You want to sell high and buy low. But you have to have some sense of reality in these negotiations as well when you go into a transfer market. Daniel, how are you, my friend? Said, so this summer, we're looking at Mo, Virgil, Trent, Darwin, Harvey, and maybe others leaving. Do you see us doing 6+ signings in the summer? I think you know the answer to that, Daniel. And that's not a dig at you. I mean, you're getting the same route as I am here. I don't have the trust that the club adequately replaced them. Nor do I think financially it's the right decision. There's just so many things about it that stink. Did you, David? Sorry. My apologies. Yes, sorry, bro. Don't like Cole Walker, but at least he's told City he wants to leave. Why doesn't Trent come out and let us know what's going on? Again, mate, the honest answer in me is he's a pussy. That's the honest answer. You know, people don't like me saying that, but that's my answer. He hasn't come out because he's trying to play both sides of the fence and speak out of both sides of his mouth and look after himself, which is absolutely fine. He has to look after himself. I get that. But you don't have to think we're all idiots. You know, I get people want to believe, oh, Trent's just been so respectful to the club. Fuck me. No. How is this being respectful? How is subjecting every Liverpool fan to constant taunts from Real Madrid, how is that respectful? Who's that respecting? Because you can say he's not saying that and he's not. He's letting the void be filled with all these stories and all of these, and he's not come out and said once that he wants to stay. Not once. I don't know how anybody can defend his behaviour anymore in this situation. And I'm trying to walk the tightrope here because I don't want to be toxic towards him. But I also don't want to be taken for a fool. And I think we're being taken for fools. Say what you want to do. Stop being a pussy. This is also on us fans to do something proactive. Actually protest. A few FSG out tweets doesn't do anything practical. Well, did you see what Declan Rice said? He's probably somewhat taken out of, at least, maybe not context, but maybe there was a bit of sarcasm in it. He said, social media fans aren't real Arsenal fans. The real Arsenal fans are inside the stadium. And that's kind of the attitude towards the journalists and many others who go to the games all the time. It's only the match-going fans' opinion that counts to these people. You know, you have to accept that as a Liverpool fan. That there's two tiers here, and you're on the lower tier, and I'm on the lower tier. And we aren't every week going to the game, so we don't count. And we aren't part of the in crowd. We're just, you know, there to give the money, but not to have an opinion, or an opinion that holds any weight. These are all things that I think all of us at one point or another have battled with as Liverpool fans over the last while. These little hypocrisies that some don't call out. But I think we have to, because What good is allowing these journalists and, you know, fans that are happy or do have their feet under the table or are going to the games in a ways and just think that they are the be all and end all? None of this happens without fans from all over the world, without the television revenues, without your money, without my money, without all of it. And it's about time our voices got listened to. And I don't mean listen to in a pandering bullshit way about sticking somebody from a Liverpool official supporters club who already has their hands tied behind their backs on some committee somewhere. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual representation where we have a voice that deserves to be listened to. Hey Craig, where's the replacement for Wijnaldum, Thiago and Matip? We've got the most of our money spent. FSG, I've not spent a dime. You're right. And they haven't replaced those. I don't have a comeback on that one, Peter, my man. I don't. And by the way, this isn't a dig at locals, by the way, because there are many locals who feel the same as you and I. But like in anything else, if people are being looked after and they are in positions where they are part of Liverpool's fan structure, they have vested interests in this. And I don't think anyone that really has vested interests can have 100% sincerity. I just don't. But again, I don't want this to turn into a locals and non-locals, because that's not what this is about. What this is about is us feeling like we just don't have a voice. And that we always get undermined and belittled and told we don't understand. And it's tiring. This shit should be called out. And if everybody doesn't think the same way, I truly don't understand how anybody can be happy with these owners. If FSG end up costing us the title, they need to sell up someone who cares and then hit the road. Yeah, but they won't. Because, you know, there's more money to be milked. There's more growth in football over the next while. TV revenues are going to go up. More corporate seats are coming in. You know, it's embarrassing, but that's the case. And until they feel like there is no growth left or it's at the peak, they're not going to sell because they feel like they're leaving money on the table. Doesn't matter, they've maybe made about 4.5-5 billion profit if they sell. Still more money to be had there. So, you know, screw the rest of us. So I'd love to know who the 16% of people are that are answering yes to this question that I posed in the poll. And the question was, do you believe that we just cannot find the players? Because if you've answered yes to that, you are one gullible person. Because we couldn't find him in 3 windows ago, 2 windows ago, last window, this window. Just unlucky that we can't find a single player in the world to fit in any of the positions that we need. We just can't find one. And you buy that. You swallow that nonsense. It has to be baiting and trolling. I refuse to believe that any sensible Liverpool fans answering yes to that. Or excuse me, answering no. Oh yeah, yes to the question. Apologies. Benjamin. Heard Nunes agreed terms with Saudi from a supplier in Dubai. I see all this drama, contracts and derailing our title challenge. I can't speak to that. I don't know if he's agreed or not agreed. What I want to say is something I did read earlier on from Sky, and I think it gives a bit more context maybe as to why Turkey Al Sheikh is important. So this piece here says, Al Sheikh is the chair of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority and is close to the kingdom's de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Al Sheikh has masterminded Saudi Arabia's huge investment in boxing, and he's also known to have links with Al Hilal. Hence the reason we're seeing him posting Salah in an Al Hilal shirt. So I told you guys when I'd seen that post that I was worried. And now there are other reports to say that that's getting close to happening. So that'll be another X amount of money in on top of the money that we made in the summer. And will we see that money spent? No, you'll be told it'll be spent in the summer. And you'll get maybe a cheap, opportunistic signing at some point in this window. But you'll be given the promise of the summer and the brighter days ahead. Adam said, as much as I love Trent, am I the only one who isn't that concerned if he leaves? After seeing how Bradley can play on his day against Mbappe Madrid, I think we'll be okay. I want him to stay. I'll admit that some of the shine and some of the goodwill I have towards him has absolutely taken a hit over the last few weeks. But if it was a preference between him staying or going, I'd absolutely take him staying, and that would be what I want. And I do think it would be a knock for us if he moves on. I don't think it will be the worst thing in the world. I don't think we'll collapse because of it. But, he's a fine footballer. I don't think there's any denying that. And Bradley's brilliant as well. But, I'd rather Trent stayed. I can't get away from that. That's always been my honest opinion. But I don't think he will. I wondered what the benefit is to not winning the league and just getting top four. It's got to be something, how you could just not invest when you're winning. Don't know. It got me thinking though. So do you remember the piece I read yesterday from the Red Sox fan? He was speaking about the fact that they almost know the Dodgers, and I don't know baseball, but the Dodgers must be good right now. The Dodgers are set for a dynasty for the next few years, so they're going to invest in infrastructure while the Dodgers are having their period of dominance, and then hope to come back in the 2030s when the infrastructure's there and they need to sell apartments, seats, entertainment venues, and then they'll make them more competitive again. So that got me thinking and wondering, did they have the same mindset about Manchester City? Are they looking back and going, well, we ain't going to compete with Manchester City in this market. We ain't going to be able to compete with what they're doing silverware-wise and trophy-wise. So let's keep building up the value of the club, and then we'll see what happens if Manchester City get found guilty and they get thrown out. Maybe we can still win leagues then without having to spend money. These are things I'm only starting to try and piece together in my mind. But again, none of it points to owners that are hungry for success. David said Trent to Real Madrid isn't done. And you know that how? How do you know that? Because you want something to be the case, David, doesn't mean it is. All we know is what's being reported. And we haven't seen anything reporting to say Trent's going to stay at Liverpool. Have you? Genuine question. Have you seen one report to tell you Trent's going to stay at Liverpool? You can tell me you've seen reports that say Trent isn't done. Granted, no problem with that. But don't tell me that it's... Don't tell me that there's anything to say Trent's staying, because everything at this point is pointing towards him going. Even you've got Graham Bailey and English-based outlets now starting to say they believe Trent's about to conclude that he's going to Madrid. This piece from DiMarzio said Manchester City are closing in on Andrea Cambiasso and are preparing a bid to Juventus in the range of 60 to 65 million euro. On top of the 60 to 65 million euro that they're about to spend on Omar Marmoush from Frankfurt. And this is a team that know they need to do something and are going out and fucking doing it. They're not making excuses. They're not cry arson. They're going out into the market to get the players, to push them on, to try and get them success. Wouldn't that be nice? David Ornstein, Manchester City reached a verbal agreement with Eintracht Frankfurt to sign striker Omar Marmoush. A compromise struck today and now working to finalise the deal. Personal terms for the 25-year-old, no issue. But we can't find a player. We have money now. That much has been admitted, but there's no talent out there. What about the Martin Zubamendi player I hear you say, Craig? What about the Martin Zubamendi guy who just wouldn't move last summer but now is going to move next summer, but we're allowing Arsenal to just have their way there? Why aren't we going in there and paying his release clause and getting a deal ready for next year? Why isn't that being announced? It's almost like they don't want any goodwill in the fan base at this point, because everything is undermining the good work that Arne Slot and the boys are doing out on the pitch. And that's getting lost in this frustrating transfer window. Another frustrating transfer window. And by the way, every defence that somebody has of FSG, I've dealt with, I've heard before, it's not going to be new to me. The whole stuff about the window isn't open or over yet either. Been there, done that. Already used that bit of patience or bit of goodwill. It's been done before. Marmoush would have been perfect for Liverpool. He definitely would have, for a number of reasons. One, of course, you have the Egyptian hookup with Mo. Then you've got his versatility as an attacker. You've got his set piece prowess. So if you do lose Trent, you'd be gaining another great set piece taker. But no, even though a lot of people briefed to say Liverpool were keeping a good close eye on Marmoush, you've heard the close eye on, monitoring, keeping tabs on. We've all heard that before. Doesn't ever come with a bid though. The players are out there, Craig. We just can't find those unicorn type guys who'll play for £20 a week and a packet of Watsits. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're right, mate. The talent's out there. They just won't pay for it. But the hypocrisy of that is, when it comes time to moving anybody on, even players that fail at the club, they demand top whack for them. And that's fine, as I've said. I'm all for the club getting as much as they can when selling a player. But you want to see the other side of it as well, to understand that we just need to get these deals done. And we need to strengthen the squad. Because what's going to happen if these boys move on? If 1, 2 or 3 of the contracts aren't renewed, what do they think is going to happen with fans? There is no, oh, here's a new shiny unveiled signing to replace Salah, because there is no replacing Salah. There is no making the situation with Trent better if he decides he's going and he's leaving for free. There's no placating fans on that one because you took your eye off the ball and shit the bed and allowed a £100 million player to walk out the door for nothing. And I've had 18 months to convince him to stay and haven't managed to do that yet. Stevie Kirkman said, it's copy and paste every window now. Same lines from the same journalists. It's beyond the joke. 100% agree with what you're saying. So on the poll, we've had about 1,650 votes or so. And we asked, do you believe that they just cannot find the players? 83% of people say no, they don't believe that. They just can't find the players. And 70% of people think otherwise. So, just a quick one. To anyone that's voted that they think that we just can't find the players, please, love to know some of your reasonings on those ones. Because we seem to be the only club that struggle with it. I mentioned the contract renewal situation last week when Amad Diallo signed his new Manchester United deal. And they're a club that's got big financial headaches, PSR constraints, and they still tie down a talent for the future because they believe in him. And we can't do it. Despite 700 million turned over in revenue, despite making a profit in the summer, despite freeing up 17, 18 million pound in wages, we can't get one contract extension done. With the profit FSG is cleared, they have no excuse. Absolutely. And I've always said this as well. I don't begrudge them their profit. I've always said this. Come in, be custodians of the club, leave no stone unturned to make us competitive and win stuff. And I mean really leave no stone unturned, not just lie to the media about it. And go off and get your money in the end and sail off into the sunset with your billions, leaving us in a better position. Happy days. I've no issue with any of that, as long as in the time between they buy it and they sell it, they do everything they can. And they live and breathe the club. And they leave no stone genuinely unturned to make us successful. They're not doing that though. They're leaving no stone unturned to make them more money. But the rest of it seems to be forgotten. Craig, that's more than double what they paid for the club. They've made about 5 billion. And they've already gotten pretty much most of their money back that they initially bought the club for by selling off bits and pieces of it. It's mad. But, you know, they still feel like there's more money to be rinsed. And I got to thinking about, I was responding to an email earlier on that I got from a Bostonian, and thank you if you're watching, I won't say your name, but thank you. And he was sending me this, and he goes, look Craig, I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm a Red Sox fan, and I despise John W. Henry and FSG and everything about them. And I went through the email and I was responding back to him. And I just felt so disheartened as a fan, writing this stuff back. about owners that just don't give a damn. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting. And then I got to the Super League again. And I really thought long and hard about the Super League stuff. And again, they just thought that we know best everything about how you consume football and the tribalism aspect of it, and everything about how you love sport and football in the UK or in Europe. I don't care because we can make more money and we're going to do that and you're just going to have to put up with it. And the sheer arrogance of that decision and how they thought we'd all just put up with it still astounds me to this day. And they do it all over again tomorrow, in my opinion. And I didn't believe the apology then, and I don't believe it now, because they've shown nothing to show that that apology was serious. They were part of the architects of it. To look at the images of the video with the Cronkies, the Glazers, the FSGs, sitting there plotting all of this crap, and then some people still have the naivety to give them the benefit of the doubt. Zoab said, it's stressful following this club. I could have stopped watching the emotional ups and downs of Liverpool and FSG these past years if it weren't for my son and how excited he is watching games every weekend. Thank you, Zoab. And hello to your son as well, and I hope he continues to have that enjoyment, my friend. I asked myself again, should I just stop? Should I just give up? Should I stop the channel? Stop being vocal, stop speaking out, and make my life a lot easier? Because on a personal, selfish level, for a second, it's been really difficult for me. For my mental health, for just me being me, and being constantly ridiculed and undermined and belittled and ignored. And I keep saying, why am I? Why? Well, why am I still here? Why am I still speaking? It's a difficult question to answer at the best of times, but I think it's because it's how I was brought up. It's what was my belief system. And if I give up, I'm a coward. If I give up, I've let them win. If I give up, I've let people down. But I can't say this clearly. It's so tiring and it's really hard. And it feels very lonely at times because it's tough not feeling wanted at something that you love so much, or by something that you love so much. Is Trent a true red if he joins the enemy in Real Madrid? Robbed us of 2 Champions League finals and countless Champions League ties. Our biggest rival in the Klopp era. Unreal. Small fish in a big pond. Where's the loyalty? I think that question is one that is an individual answer. So you will have your view on whether you think Trent is a loyal red or not. Others will have a different view. And I don't know there is a right and wrong answer to it, in all honesty. You know, some people feel like Trent served the club well, and if he wants another chapter in his career, no problem, go and do it. I can understand that. Others, like me, feel like it would be a bad look and leave a bad taste if he goes this way. But I don't think there is a right and wrong. I think it's how you feel and how you see the situation. And that's part of the problem of being a Liverpool fan, is there isn't enough of that freedom to say you're happy or unhappy. Is you're told how you're supposed to feel, and that everything's great, and that if you don't feel that way, there's something wrong with you. Not there's something wrong with the system or there's something wrong with the setup. It's you. You just don't get it. You don't understand it. You're not a real fan. You're not a top red. All the other bullshit lazy tropes you get thrown at you. It's tiring. 294 plus reasons, bro. Stay with us. I'm not wanted. And I don't, and that is a little bit of a pity party statement to some extent. But like I said, I'm swimming against the tide every season. Every transfer window, I know it's going to be up and down, and fans are going to turn on me, and fans are going to get angry at me, and I'm going to become more outspoken, and I'm going to get angrier, and that anger is going to seep into my life, and that anger is going to carry on. It's so difficult. And I've convinced myself at times that I'm the problem or part of the problem, and that if I go away, people will be better without me. And by go away, I don't mean anything silly. I mean just from the football world. Just go away from that. Yeah, I believe some of their bullshit about me sometimes, and I feel like I am toxic and I am a problem and I am a disruption in our fan base. But I can look down the camera and say to you wholeheartedly, everything I say is how I feel, and it comes from the heart, from a right place. Might not always be right, but it's sincere. And I don't want to call out owners. I'd love to look at them and think, yeah, great owners, brilliant. I'd love to be sitting here just moaning about referees or tactical decisions but they're eroding so much goodwill people have towards the club, and they shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be happening, because it isn't the club, it's just them. The club will be there in the future, and the club's ethos and values and morals, the real ones, are always going to be there. These are just opportunistic charlatans in my eyes who got the club cheap and have just rinsed us, and some people have bought it. Eros said, can't blame the man if he wants to get paid. Sorry, I'll finish your comment. Would have loved for all our legends who've stayed with Liverpool, but you only have so much time as an athlete. Again, I think a lot of people will say okay to what you've said, but it's the not speaking up and not being honest part that it's starting to hurt a lot of us. Because if Trent does want that, like I've said all along, be upfront, front up to the camera, talk to people, honestly, sincerely, and explain that. Most people will be hurt but understand it. But if they feel like they've been manipulated to get to this point, and then the announcement's made and it's been dragged out and he's maybe known it for a long time, it takes a lot of the goodwill away, and it takes a lot of the gloss off his time at the club for some people. So again, just be honest and be upfront if that's the case. I think everybody can understand somebody, like you said, in a short career, maybe fancying another angle or another move, or, yeah, he's human. I get it. But be honest about it. Because I don't think it takes anybody 18 months or a year to just know what country they want to be in. Do you want to stay in Liverpool? Do you want to go to Madrid? That's a simplistic question. The money side of it, you're still going to be... You're still going to be well paid. You're still going to be a multi-millionaire. You don't have to worry about your family not having a roof over their heads or any of that stuff. He knows that. He knows. You and I know he knows. He just doesn't know whether he can get the most money out of the situation yet, but he knows what he wants to do. It doesn't take this long to make that decision. Craig, look at it this way. You make a living from it, provide, and have a decent crowd that tune in. I've never been arsed about the money side of it. Of course you need money to survive, but I'm not someone that's motivated by wanting to be a millionaire or anything. I've no interest in being a millionaire. Where I am now, I'm more than happy with that side of my life, But I just don't want to... I don't want to be a problem. I don't want my name to become something that's negative when I'm trying to come from an honest, sincere place, and I'm doubting myself. Because if enough people tell you you're a problem, it's tough, man. You feel like you're the problem. Right. So Ben Jacobs, reporting on the Mohamed Salah stuff, said Al Hilal want to sign Mohamed Salah in time for the new Club World Cup, which again I can understand, which takes place June, July. But there's not one fibre of me that thinks he wants to go. I just think he doesn't have an offer that he deems valuing of him or respectful of him or that acknowledges his stature in world football. And again, I would say to the club as well, be honest. If you just don't want to pay the man and you're too scared to commit a sum of money that he wants, then just say that. Everyone seems to be being fucking strung along here. Just, where's honesty gone? Just say to him, look, we don't think we can pay you this because of this. This is our position. And then he can make up his mind and he can go to his family and speak with them. And if they want, say, look, Mohammed, we're happy here. You make a good living. You're idolised here. Maybe he takes less. If he feels disrespected and that the offer hasn't reflected his stature in world football, then he might feel he has to make a stand. But either way, just be honest with everybody. The club just needs to get this done. It is absolutely embarrassing to have 3 major contracts still dragging on. You see, for me, that's not the case. You know, it isn't as simple as it's only sport to me. It's a big part of who I am as a person. Rightly or wrongly, you know, I'm emotionally invested in this football club since I'm 8 years of age. And sport is a huge part of what dictates my moods and what makes me me. You know, it's a big part of who I am as a person. So to me, it isn't just it's only sport. It's a really important thing. Outside of family, it's the most important. Oh, that's amazing, Corbin. Thank you for sharing some good news, bro. Said, hi mate, finally got the keys to my flat faster than expected. I honestly feel like we're watching the season dissolve in front of our eyes, not to be dramatic. There's certainly a lot of negativity that the club have allowed to happen that was avoidable. Can't speak to whether it derails the season or not because the season isn't over. But I'm delighted that you shared that good news about getting the keys to your flat, man. I know you were waiting for that one, so thank you so much for sharing that. Well, who was it that said sport? It was a Kloppo? Somebody said sport's the most important of all the unimportant things. Probably right, for me anyway. JD, happy birthday. 51 today, my man. Happy birthday. So, L'Equipe have been speaking about the Salah situation, and this piece here says reports in France claim that Saudi chiefs have resumed concrete contact with the representatives of Mohamed Salah to offer him to join Al Hilal. Now, to be fair to the Echo here, there's only 2 spelling mistakes in this article, so well done, lads. You know, only 2 in one article. That's some good work. There's progress being made here. L'Equipe report that there is yet to be an official offer, but the Saudi club hope to seduce the Liverpool man and convince him to make a move at the end of the contract. Neymar's expected departure in the summer means that the club will have space in their squad to register another overseas player, with Salah reportedly the target. Yeah. Charlie said, Craig, I want your honesty. If Trent and Salah leave, do you see us replacing them? We're yet to replace Fabinho. If Salah and Trent go, could we end up declining next season? I'm worried. Yes, we will. We will decline. No doubt about that. Because in my mind, we'll bring in players that aren't there yet, but that they hope will get there in the next 2 to 3 years. And in that time, hopefully they can keep us inside the Champions League places. That's my honest opinion on it, Charlie. I would fully expect to see Salah replaced with somebody like Semenyo, and Trent with Bradley, and maybe another young fullback brought in that they hope can get through the system. Or a utility player like Kimmich that can play in 3 or 4 positions. So that's my honest, hand-on-heart answer to that question. Thank you, mate. I'm not going to lie. I'm really struggling this month. 1-1 in the United Southampton game. That's still shocking though, lads. Do you know what I mean? That for United fans, that's shocking. But again, they did overhype them in the media again over the last few weeks. You know, they got a draw against us. They drew against Arsenal but beat them on penalties in the Cup, and they were making out like they turned the season around and everything was great in the media. And, you know, Bruno Fernandes sitting there on Sky Sports giving it the whole, you know, you have to believe in Amram's vision, blah, 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 blah. But they've done nothing yet. So, United should be trouncing Southampton 3 or 4 at home. But I'm just glad that isn't our problem. Do you think Boycheta should be recalled instead of an incoming midfielder, said Will? No, I think the plan is to leave him there for the remainder of the season. Yeah, that seems to be the plan. Sorry, I'm just reading through my notes just in case I've missed anything that I wanted to bring up. Done that one, done that one, done that one. Okay, so on the Jurgen Klopp documentary, because a lot of people have been asking about this, the reason it's being delayed, I'll explain now. So, Sam Wallace of The Telegraph has said, Klopp is understood to have been re-interviewed in the 8 months since he left Liverpool in May, and the emphasis of the documentary has shifted in the interim to look back at the totality of his time at the club rather than just a single season. So, it does look as if that's what's going on there. Good reporting from Sam, and yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. But at least it gives us an answer as to why we weren't seeing that documentary. So, Liverpool have also posted to say Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah feature in the EA Sports FC Team of the Year. Mo makes his first appearance in the Team of the Year, and Virgil is included for the 3rd year in a row. They post that and haven't given them contracts. Boast about them being in the Team of the Year. Even go out of their way to say it's the first time for Mo. And yet, they still won't give these lads contract offers that they deem reasonable for their stature. One of them being our club captain. The Mirror say Arne Slot not convinced by Jarell Kwanzaa. Liverpool are aware there's strong possibility Trent Alexander-Arnold decides to move to Real Madrid when his contract expires at the end of the season, says Alex Crook. Liverpool still optimistic Salah will stay, as I've mentioned from Ben Jacobs. Contract offer on the table still, so no change to it. Just the shitty contract he didn't accept the first time still there. Here's a bit of interesting one though, from Christian Falk, and I'd love to know whether you believe this or not. But Christian Falk said Alphonso Davies' agent will leave Munich tomorrow as there's still no agreement over a deal with Bayern. His agent, Nick Hauser, wants to make meetings with several clubs, and one of these clubs is Liverpool. Does anybody think that we're realistically going to sign Alphonso Davies and pay him the money that his agent will be asking for, even though it's on a free? I think our name's being thrown out there by Falk just for clicks, because I can't see a world where we sign. Would I take him? Yes. I mean, that's not the question though. I just don't see it happening. You know, if you won't give your captain a contract he's happy with, the fuck you're going to bring in somebody on higher money than him. Yeah, it's just not going to happen, is it? Cal, how are you, bro? Said, Proudy Craig, club just needs to have a backbone now. Say, here's your contract offers, and you'll have till the 25th of January to sign it or announce you're leaving. Rip the plaster off and get it done. Exactly. But that should have been done a long time ago. So they ran out of excuses, Cal. They used to be, these things are complicated, it takes time, be patient. They can't use that one any longer because they've had 7 months now with the new structure in place to sort them out, and they still haven't sorted them out. Then you started to see the articles coming out yesterday that said that, you know, the Athletic posted to say that Richard Hughes can only work in the financial constraints that the owners have given him. So it just looks like Liverpool are playing hardball. Here's the cheap offers. Accept them or go. And they did it at the Red Sox. Allowed talent to walk out the door. And the sports aren't comparable completely because, you know, the financial structures of Major League Baseball and Premier League Football are very different. But they've done it there. And like I've said for years, if they do this stuff at their hometown club, why do we for some reason believe that they're going to be any different to a club that they don't really have a financial, or excuse me, an emotional attachment to? Mark said, am I a bad fan if I think we'll bottle the league again and go a couple of steps back? You're not a bad fan, you're a worried fan. I don't like the phrase bottle the league, by the way, but apart from that, Mark, if you're worried about the league slipping away a bit, well, you've seen it happen before. And what makes it probably more painful this year is, if it does this season, it won't be because Manchester City have been a machine. Because there's an opportunity for somebody to grab this league title by the scruff of the neck. And we're stumbling a bit, but it's still in our hands. So this would be the most inexcusable of them all for me, because it isn't like Man City have been a machine that you can't even draw a game in. We've had wiggle room. So if you don't win it this year and the owners haven't spent and the contracts aren't sorted out and it starts to unravel, difficult. It's difficult to have faith in people who are just silent as well. So we don't know what Hughes and Edwards are doing. We haven't got a clue what they're doing. See, United have turned around there and got the winner. 2-1. Ahmad, the guy who was given the new contract, full of happiness, full of confidence. See what happens when you reward the lads? You know? Meanwhile, we had Mo not looking like himself the other night and still no contract. You're telling me that giving that man a definitive answer on his future wouldn't help things? The whole thing is a fucking piss take. Robert Young said City signing players left and right. Yeah, and they have a huge financial, or excuse me, a huge deduction of points potentially incoming, and they're still able to convince players to come in, and they're still able to pay top dollar for them. And we have the world at our feet right now, and owners who won't pay a cent to keep the talent that's here, let alone go out into the market and strengthen. Fuck me. Our owners look for any excuse to justify not spending when others are out there trying to find every which way they can spend more to make sure they get success, or to make sure that they get as much success as they can within their means. And when I see us being linked with Kirkes at Bournemouth, that really angers me. It just feels like the height of laziness. That we want a player that Hughes brought into Bournemouth because what? Because it's an easy fucking phone call for him to make because he has an in there and you can speak to the agent. It just feels so tin pot. It really does. I'm FSG out, but I really think this time it's not about FSG. See, I disagree. Because Edwards has done it before. Edwards has pushed and made sure that we brought in Mohamed Salah over Julian Brandt. So, I don't believe for 1 second that there aren't players or that they can't find them. Because we've a network of scouts around the world. And some very, very high quality scouts at that. To me, everything just points to cheap owners. And we can pull the trigger on these things because they won't pay the money. That's how I see it anyway, but look, it's just my opinion. Philip said, Craig, here's a question. If VVD goes and Trent goes at the end of the season, who do you think is going to be captain next season? Uh, Allison? Don't know. Maka? Tim Price said, this Hughes fella actually makes Ian look competent. Oh, it's 3-1 United now. An Ahmad hat-trick. Do you know how frustrating that is as a Liverpool fan? Not United winning part. I mean, they rewarded him with a contract, and now look at him. He's ripping it up and dragging United into winning positions single-handedly. Meanwhile, we're atop of the league, and our owners are doing everything that they can to make everything as fucking toxic and bitter and miserable in our football club as possible. That's mad. Arsenal trying to get a new deal for Lewis Skelly. Well, we don't give our players contracts. Yeah. How many months have we been told by some journalists that Canada deal's close, by the way? I've almost lost track at this point. I said this last night and I'm going to reiterate it now. I think there's a big gap in the market for a journalist who can actually not worry about their access, but write from the point of view of honesty, sincerity, and be critical where needs be. Honestly, I feel like there's a big gap in the market for that journalist right now. If somebody out there has the balls to be that person, I'm I'm nowhere near intelligent enough to write these things out, nor am I a journalist, so I'll stick to doing this potentially. As I said earlier on, though, I'm unsure how much more of this fighting I can do, but I think there's a gap there for a journalist to really grow a pair and speak really from the perspective of fans. Because I tell you what, there'll be a lot of subscriptions there quickly from people who are happy with somebody finally speaking out. I think they're going to, and honestly, I feel like I'm just going to end up being beaten into submission at this point. Edwards is a fraud, given a reputation by Jurgen. Well, apparently they didn't see eye to eye in a lot of things. I don't find it a coincidence that he comes in when the other one goes. I feel like there was probably I have to say probably because I don't know this, but a power struggle there behind the scenes, and I feel like Edwards is probably FSG's man, and is happy to work in that model and the way they want to do things. Yeah, that's probably a fair reflection of it. Then they win, Craig. Yeah, but it's breaking me, mate. It's breaking me mentally. Yeah, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Sober Ben Run said, honestly, the negativity is hilarious. Top of the league. Cool. Well, then you've nothing to be here for, Ben, do you? Don't be in here with us negative people, mate. You go and enjoy yourself and be happy about the fact that we're top of the league and the gap's closing and we're running out of players and the contracts haven't been renewed. But, you know, enjoy being top of the league. There's no trophy for being top of the league now, by the way, Ben. The trophy's at the end of the season, and hopefully we are still there. But if you don't understand some of the frustration that people feel, mate, I don't get it. You're either not being sincere or I don't know, maybe you are just an optimist. Marmouche off to City. Frankfurt wanted 67 million. I know, but we can't find players. No players out there for us. Have the money, but we can't find them. Problem is there's too many yes men at the club. Klopp wasn't. He got a few players in who he wanted. So Jordan. I even just pushing aside transfer stuff for a second and looking at it from the perspective of the contracts. Truthfully, I can't figure out this impasse and this long. Because it feels like now the more the impasse goes on, the less likely there is to be any type of goodwill left. Even if they sign now, I still feel like there'll be a little bit of frustration about how this has been dealt with and how it's dragged on. Certainly, I know if I was in Virgil or Mo's position, I'd definitely be feeling resentment towards the club. The higher ups, not the fan base or the coaches or anything, but those making decisions. We need to drive FSG infestation out of the club, said Matt Denny. Do you think if we signed a striker it would improve our chances of the title? Not really. I think scoring goals for us this season in the main hasn't been a problem. I would say, bringing in either another midfielder or a defender is probably more pressing a concern at this moment in time. If Arne Slot doesn't rate Jarell Kwanzaa, then we're in a situation where we have Joe Gomez who's injured, but let's say he comes back and he's fit. You've got Joe Gomez who the manager feels like he can somewhat trust, and then you've got Virgil and Canade, and then that's it. End of centre backs that the manager feels he can rely upon. Then you're into Shoehorn and Endo or others back into it. So it doesn't add up to me, that we don't have space in the squads. We do. Manager doesn't rate some of the players. I'm going to ask a question, actually. Somebody asked me yesterday, and I don't know the answer to, so I wanted to see what you think of it. So, the question, the way I'm going to pose it is, one sec. Do you think Slot really wanted Kiesa? Because I don't know the answer to this one, so it's a heartfelt, sincere question. Because some people have been asking me, do you think he was forced to have Kiesa because it was a good deal for the club, or opportunistic, or whatever way you want to phrase it? So I want to just know what you think. Do the club, or does Slot really want him? Because he's not playing him. And I've never known somebody to take 7 months to get fit. We don't have that pre-season. The pre-season's only 6 weeks. So I don't understand how it can take a player that wasn't injured 6-7 months to get fitness, and then the fitness is there, but no minutes. You can't count the Accrington Stanley game. The real sign for me was when we needed a goal against Forest and he refused to look to Elliott and he refused to look to Kiesa. Ty said Klopp was an idiot for not bringing on Kiesa, or it's not Klopp, excuse me, Slot was an idiot for not bringing on Kiesa or Gakpo for the last 10 minutes. Well, I wouldn't go calling the man an idiot, but I certainly feel like it was a strange choice that he didn't bring him on. Because, you know, a fresh pair of legs, if nothing else. We know Kiesa is able to run at people and make things happen. And maybe he wouldn't have, maybe he would have, but, you know, as you said, Gakpo and Salah had 80 minutes to try and make that happen. BQ said, I think it was a cash grab, get him for cheap and then, or get him fit and then sell, make profit on him. David said, it's a good show, Craig. I don't think Slot wanted Kiesa. I don't know. Like, this is an honest question. This isn't me trying to get you to give me an answer I want. I don't know the answer to this one. Can I ask you a little favour? If I can, ladies and gentlemen. So there's two things while we're filling up and we've got about half an hour left. One, hit that like button for me if you can. And two, at the top of the chat, you'll see that we have the link for Joe's Just Giving page. We're trying to help him get that wheelchair basketball chair. What we've decided to do is anybody who makes a donation of a £5 or above, we're going to go back through and get all the names, and we're going to pick out one person and give them a £500 Amazon gift card. If you like to stay anonymous making a donation, that's of course absolutely cool as well, and we thank you for that donation, but we couldn't include you in the draw then. So if you do want to make a donation, we are going to give somebody a £500 Amazon gift card as an incentive, I guess, to try and help get Joe to this target and try and help get him that wheelchair basketball chair. So if you can help out with that one, it'd be hugely appreciated, and we'll do our part, as I said, at the other end of it as well, to make sure that somebody gets £500 voucher that they can do what they want with, buy themselves a PS5, buy themselves a load of Freddos, whatever you want. Baz said FSG need to do one. No one signed for 2 transfer windows and halfway through the third. Unacceptable for our standards as fans. Do you know what confuses me more about the last window, Baz, was I still don't know what the plan is for Mamardashvili, and I don't know if any fan does. Yeah. Like, I can understand signing a good goalkeeper like him because, you know, he's a very good goalkeeper, but I don't know the plan. Craig, love the content. Quick question, are you having second thoughts on Arne? No, wait, mate, not at all. No, I'm fully behind the manager. The only thing I'm having second thoughts about is, as I said, my place in this landscape, because I'm tired and I'm tired. I'm tired of being looked down my nose at. But no, I'm fully behind the manager. Royal Warzone. Kiesa is irrelevant, to be honest. It's nice to have him, but we're stacked up front. Centre back's a major area of concern. Quans is not good enough. Are we? Stacked, I mean? So, like, let's say Kiesa isn't good enough in your mind and he's not there. Well, he's taken up a wage in a squad place. That's denying us somebody who the manager might want. If Darwin gets moved on in this window and Dans goes out on loan and he doesn't use Kiesa, then we're back to having 4 available attackers for 3 positions and hoping one of them doesn't pick up an injury. I do agree with your point about a centre-back, though, or a left-back, whichever you prefer, or both. But I just don't like the idea of being told that we've no space in the squad, but yet he doesn't want some of the players that are in that squad, clearly. The whole thing just feels like strange. Like, why put these lads on the bench if you're not going to use them? Why pay them a wage if you don't have any interest in signing them or keeping them? It's weird. Soren, how are you, my friend? Said, I'm really struggling to understand what's going on behind the scenes. What are these people doing if not scouring contracts, or securing contracts, and working on new deals? I need to trust Arne to make sure that he has a winning team. Exactly. If a manager fails after getting his lads in and building his own squad, you think, fair enough, you tried, you failed. But I don't even feel like he's getting a chance to do anything other than try to find new ways to get more out of the players that are already here and prevent more injuries. That's the only improvements I think he can make there, really, other than, yes, on the training ground somewhat as well. But now we're working with a squad of some players he doesn't trust as well. It just doesn't add up. So if you can take part in that poll question, by the way, please do. And also, we need 221 more likes to get up to 1,000. And God, I could do with a little win today. So please do hit that like button if you can. And thank you to everyone that's hit the subscribe button as well. As you can see, we're heading towards 295,000, which is amazing. Thank you. So we asked the question, do you think Slot really wanted Kiesa? It's not a leading question. We're not trying to start a narrative or anything. It's a sincere one that I've been asked quite a bit. Logan said, love the fundraiser, just donated. Class, lad. Thank you, Logan. It's a very worthy cause, as I'm sure you probably agree with. And I'm just proud to be able to try and help somebody like Joe. So thank you for your kindness as well, mate. And hopefully we can get Joe that chair, because, I'm a bit of a romantic at heart, and I feel like if you're in the world like Joe is, doing good stuff for other people and battling your own battles as well, that should be rewarded for me. And if it's something as simple as getting somebody the wheelchair basketball chair to make their sport enjoyment a bit better after all the great stuff that they do, I think, the least we can do is to try and help out if we can. What does the chair cost? It's all on the page, mate. I'll read it out to you now. So here's the wording from the page. £5,500 to fund a new wheelchair basketball chair for Joe. Joe has cerebral palsy and has played wheelchair basketball for 8 years and is still playing in a borrowed club chair that's heavy and cumbersome. A new sports wheelchair would allow Joe to work on his fitness as well as coaching and working with other young people. Joe works as a youth worker and provides pastoral support, working with youths from the age of 14 to 25. And this is just Joe looking to continue on his sporting development and obviously helping other young people. Despite having cerebral palsy himself, Joe, he's still out there trying to make the world a better place and help other people. And people like Joe make me proud to be a human being, that he's out there and not feeling sorry for himself for it and just trying to be better, do better, help. That's type of stuff should be rewarded for me. We always target positions of depth in windows. Why? I don't know. I'm as confused as you why we've been linked with lots of forwards, mate, over the window. Baz, thank you for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships, Baz. That's very kind of you, mate, and I'm sure they'll be appreciated. K9 Shelby said, just my opinion, but I think he's terrified of taking Mo off due to the contract situation. And that's where the Italian lad plays on Mo's side of the pitch. Well, actually, he's played most of his minutes at Juve through the centre, Kiesa. But you're right, he does think of himself as a winger. But that shouldn't be a concern. Like, you can't not replace somebody because you're scared if it might have a knock-on effect in a contract negotiation. It's not on Arne to sort the contract out. If Arne feels like Salah or anybody needs to be taken off for the last 10 or 15, that should be the decision. So I personally don't think that would come into it. I don't think it would. I think, the manager's got to make his own decisions on these things. Zach said, Craig, you look like you've lost a lot of weight since last time I saw you. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. I've lost nearly 2 stone. I got to keep going, though. Lots more to lose. But, it's always a lovely little touch if somebody notices you've lost a bit. It certainly, helps, mate. Thank you. What position is Cherky anyways? I swear we got the green light for him. So he's I guess an attacker / number 10 is probably the best description I could get. But there was something from John Texter, WhatsApp messages that were leaked the other day, and John Texter being the owner of Lyon, and it said that he's not a bad kid, but the people that are representing him are arseholes. Actually, he went further than that in his assessment of the team that's around him. So maybe that's an issue. Maybe they're completely unrealistic or giving the guy bad advice. I don't know. Because he did, saying that he doesn't think Cherky's a bad kid whatsoever, but those who are advising him are not great, shall we say, according to Mr. Texter. What would be your perfect January transfer window, said Mercy. I wanted the midfielder. As the window's gone on, I think the need for a defender has certainly grown. As the news coming out about Slot not really being sure that he can trust Kwanzaa, that makes the need for a defender even greater. So, ideally, like in a best case scenario, a left back, a centre back, and a midfielder. That's greedy stuff. I know it's unlikely, but a midfielder, and I would have been relatively happy, because I think that midfield situation can have a knock-on effect to help improve the defensive stuff. But if you're saying that Kwanzaa is not really rated by the manager as per the report in the Mirror, then you got to look at a centre back as well. Which it makes it more confusing as well that in the summer we had a chance to move him on a valuation of about 60 million quid, Kwanzaa, with Newcastle for Gordon, and didn't take that. So at that point, either Slot hadn't assessed him enough, or maybe rated him then and doesn't now. I don't know. Ian Meller said, as a fellow Scouser, Trent's pissed me off with his decision. Good riddance after being shocking a Forest performance, and I hope it allows to get a proper defender in. For me, Ian, mate, it's just, I refuse to believe it takes that long to make a decision on what country you want to play football in. If I said to you, Ian, if I pitched you a job that said, right, Ian, I have a job for you here at Anfield Agenda. You and your family would have to move to Ireland. Here's the financial package on offer. Have time to think about it, talk to your family about it, and get back to me. You're probably gonna couple of weeks, talk it through with your family, look at the pros and cons of it, see how you feel about it, and then you know what you want to do. Trent's had, since Klopp departed, or since Klopp announced he was leaving, to figure this out. He knows the new manager. He knows what style of football we're playing. He knows what way the manager coaches. He knows where the club is. I don't believe for 1 second he doesn't know what country he wants to kick a football around in. I just don't. Nobody can take that long to make a decision. Apart from us trying to find a midfielder, by the way, nobody else can take that long. Right, so we've had over 1,000 votes now in the poll, and the question was, do you think Slot really wanted Kiesa? 79% of people voted said no, they don't think the manager did want Federico Chiesa. Honestly, as I said all the way through, I don't know. It certainly feels like he's had long enough to get fit, and we're not seeing him getting minutes. That's about all I can really say on it. Kiesa was the perfect FSG signing, a recognised name to appease the fans, nice and cheap with the opportunity to make a tidy profit. But here's the frustrating part, James. Give him the minutes, let's see what he can do. The more minutes he's on the pitch, the more his value is going to go up anyway, so just give the guy an opportunity. See, Howie, people like you, mate, that come in and go, I'm curious to all the FSGO people who'd be better owners that aren't oil money or scummy billionaires. Why is that on us to figure out? Stop pushing the ball back to us. The owners aren't doing their job, mate. Not on me and you and everybody else to find new owners for the club. The owners that we have aren't doing their job. So you can talk about other scummy billionaires or oil states or whatever you want, mate. But ultimately, I don't give a shite. The owners that we have right now aren't doing their job. So they need to be called out for it. That's how simplistic it is to me. You know? It's not on me to find a new billionaire. Because if they were open to selling the club, they'd find a buyer tomorrow. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. If you want names, how am I supposed to give you them? Am I supposed to pull a billionaire out my arse and go, I know this lad wants to own the club and buy the club? But how about we have FSG doing all that they can to make us successful? How about we hold the owners that we do have to account? Is that not a good starting place for this? It's not their job to make transfers, it's the people they hire. Did you not see the report that said that they can only work within the financial constraints the owners give them? You know, I can hire somebody as well now and say to them, go out there and buy me a Ferrari and here's 10 grand. But I want a new Ferrari. If the people that you bring in aren't doing their job, fire their asses. Everything, a fish rots from the head, mate. The tone is set from above on how an organisation is run. And they own it. And they're missing in action. So if the people that they've put into the jobs can't do their job well enough, then show some balls and fire them. But they're not. They're doing nothing. Which is pretty much what they always do. Nothing. Are FSG planning to sell at our peak? Not got a clue. I've no idea. So you'd rather Elon Musk run LFC? Did I say that, dickhead? You can't belittle someone else's argument by inventing shit for them to say. Have I said once I want Elon Musk to run this club? In fact, I've gone out of my way not to discuss that situation because I think it's not even worth discussing because there's nothing to it. You can't say, oh, you don't like FSG, so you want this to happen. It's basically like you saying to me, right, you don't want FSG to run the club, so you want, I don't fucking know, fucking Vladimir Putin to come in and own the club. You know, he's a billionaire, Craig. You don't want FSG, so you must want Vladimir Putin. It's equally as ridiculous a comparison and as a statement to make. Just say, I don't have a valid opinion, Craig, and I don't have a stance to back up, and we'll leave it at that. What's happening with Bajcetic? He's staying on loan, mate, for the remainder of the season at Red Bull Salzburg. There was talk of maybe a move to Celta Vigo, but I think the thought process was he'd then be uprooted again, have to settle back in at a new club. I think they were waiting to see with the new coach at Salzburg and what Salzburg's plans were, but it looks like he's staying for the season. Well said, Craig. It's those ignorant, arrogant top-reds who think they know all stuff, who literally know nothing. My dad had a phrase for them, Mike. Know-alls that know fuck all. And all they exist to do is to laud themselves over other people and try to feel superior, but don't have a valid point or a way to articulate their point. Their only point is to undermine others. That's it, mate. That's them in a nutshell. All of them. Tell us all we're wrong. Don't tell us why. Tell us we don't understand. Don't explain it. Won't explain it. Can't explain it. Their only goal is to belittle the rest of us. That's all they have. Know-alls who know fuck all. Uh, they're not Reds, they're FSG Ultras. I like to think that they're accountancy fans, personally. Because a lot of the defence I see in, but they saved the club. They put us in a great position. They've done this, they've done that. They've lined their own pockets. Shown up when it's time to get a trophy. And then fuck back off to Boston and ignored us. Is what they've done. Not strengthened from a position of strength. Ran Kloppo into the ground till he was so tired that he had to go. Doing the same with players at the club. Disrespecting our captain and our talisman of the last 7 years by not giving them contract offers that are actually worth them looking at. And still there are bootlickers who are out there defending the indefensible. Craig, have you seen the new apparent Adidas kits for next season? No. Not seen them. They nice? Yeah, they're amazing, aren't they? I love that one personally. I'd like it more if there was number 7 instead of a number 6. But yeah, those leaked shirts are lovely. Very much Torres Gerrard vibes from them. Yeah, they're delicious. And you know me, I'm an unapologetic Adidas fan. I love this comment from Morton because, mate, I scream this into the back garden air every night nearly. I'm so effing angry, help the manager, you twats. The amount of times I screamed that at TVs and into the wind out the back, mate. Craig, what's the most we could spend without breaching FFP? Don't know. I can't throw out a number to you, mate. I feel comfortable saying we could easily do 200 million and not be in any concern. But I don't know the exact number. But it's quite substantial. David Ray is talking like they're going to win the league now. So I mentioned this earlier on. I guess it's a good way to tie what you've said together. You've got Manchester United, who are in an absolute free fall, and Acted brought in a new manager, and penny pinching all over the place. Ratcliffe cutting costs left, right and centre. PSR concerns, and they still renew the talent of Diallo, give him a new deal, and the goodwill that goes along with it. And Darius tonight banging a hat-trick and dragging United to victory. Meanwhile, our superstar is feeling unloved and frustrated and flirting with Al Hilal to try and get Liverpool to give him a contract offer. And our captain has been statesmanlike and said very little, but must be feeling pretty annoyed about this now as well. And then there's Trent, who, you know, won't grow a pair and tell the fans what he wants to do. And these owners are doing everything possible to fuck up a great position that we're in yet again in another season, and missing some tap-ins and some easy wins and some confidence boosts and some goodwill in the fan base. You know, take the tap-ins, take the easy wins. Ben said, Craig, I love Slot. He's been a breath of fresh air to the club. It does worry me that we aren't getting players for him to bring into the club. So here's how I looked at it, Ben. In the summer, I wanted more signings. I was angry about not enough signings. But at the back of my mind, I thought, right, Craig, be fair about this. Slot's come in. You have to say and give him time to go, right, maybe he does need to assess the squad. Maybe pre-season wasn't enough. He needs to look at them competitively and see what they're about. So I let that one slide. But then you get into the next window where you've had time to plan and sort stuff out and nothing is happening. And we've talked about this before, but when Richard Hughes came into his new job, every journalist out there wrote the same variation of an article that said number 1 on his inbox or top of his to-do list is the contracts. Not sorted out. None of them. Nothing is being done. Nothing. Zip. And that is... I'm gobsmacked at how they are turning a good situation into a bad situation. Liam, thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Craig, it annoys me when Arnold doesn't put any faith in Elliott when he's one of our most gifted midfielders. He should start against Brentford. So I'm fine with a manager making a decision, say, I don't rate X or Y. I might not agree with them, and I'm on your side for the Elliott debate, by the way. I'm a fan of Harvey Elliott. But if we are to believe that the manager doesn't rate him, then get rid of. This is what annoys me. Like, it's just procrastination for the sake of it. If the manager's made his assessment and he doesn't like Elliott, as much as I might disagree with that, it's Arne Slot's job. He's going to live and die by his decisions. Make them, back him, and move on. But do nothing about it, and us going through another half of the season with 3 lads on a bench that the manager doesn't trust in. What's the point of that? Manny, thank you so much, mate. Appreciate you. As I said, I honestly, I don't know if I have much more of this in me. I'm feeling like a broken man this month, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. Between all the journalist stuff, I'm feeling like a broken man, mate, honestly. But thank you for your support and your kind words. If I must say, Craig, it concerns me when listening to Slot on the interviews that he's happy with the players we have and the impact they have when needed, yet doesn't use half of them. You can't take everything a manager or a press conference or anything a club says at face value, mate. He can't go out there and start saying the players are shit. Because one, that lower the value if they do need to be sold. So he has to say publicly he believes in them and trusts them. He has to back his players. He can't throw them under the bus. So I get all of that, and I wouldn't expect much of any other manager, to be fair, than come out and say, yeah, of course he backs the players, blah blah blah. Has to do that. That's understandable. But some others should be making decisions then. You know, if you don't trust players, sell them. Be ruthless. Get them out. Bring in who you do trust, and let's go. You know, some decisiveness would be nice. But everything with us, there's no decisiveness. Even the contracts, drawn out rather than grown a pair and giving the last offer and going, make a decision. You want this or you don't. We're not moving on it. Trent should have been given 2 weeks to make a decision. Commit to Liverpool Football Club or fuck off to Madrid. It's that simple. Really, that's all it boils down to. You either want to commit and you want to stay with the club that you've been with since you were a kid, or you want to go elsewhere. It ain't that hard to make that decision. But dragging it out just feels exhausting to us fans. I've no idea, Logan. I've never really given much consideration to whether any of the players are at and watch, mate. I haven't got a clue. That's the honest answer. Ryan said, hi Craig, why is Richard Hughes not in press conferences? I know sporting directors don't usually do this, but with so much uncertainty we need clarity. I would sort of disagree that sporting directors don't do it to an extent. It hasn't been done much at Liverpool, but remember, we had a manager beforehand, and that they were at pains to make that point clear that Arne Slot wasn't a manager, he was a head coach. So his job is to coach the players, pick the team, and of course he'll be asked what he thinks about potential incoming signings and do they fit into a system. But ultimately, he's been wheeled out there every week to answer questions that he hasn't got the authority to make a decision on. So he's been undermined, while Richard Hughes sits wherever the hell he is doing whatever the hell he's doing, not being out in front of the media. And it is more common in Europe, where these models and sporting directors and head coaches are in place. So he should be out there speaking. But there's no accountability at our football club. Nobody thinks that anybody needs to be addressed or anything needs to be sorted out. And they can just go ahead and do what they want. And it's pathetic. All of it. I understand we get players coming in from the academy, but we need players who the young boys to look up to and learn from them in the future. Absolutely. So academies are brilliant. Academy players are great, and the club have brought in some very interesting young players. But you want these players to be coming into the team slowly at the manager's pace, not out of desperation or a necessity to play them because of injuries or whatever. When we're in a position of strength and you can ease them in bit by bit. But over the years, what I found at Liverpool has been that sometimes necessity is the reason these guys are thrown in. And if it does work and doesn't work, look at Kwanzaa as an example. Was promoted up real quickly, did really well, then falling away a bit. And that's not uncommon with younger players. By Cheche, similar thing. Promoted in, got some first team football, then had an injury, and now was out on loan to get minutes again. So it's a difficult balancing act to get right, but you should be doing it from a position of strength at your time frame and not out of necessity or desperation. Ryan O'Driscoll said, love your work. It's refreshing to listen to somebody who truly cares about the club. So depressing to see us in such a good position, only for FSG to continuously feck it up again. What is Hughes up to? Don't know. I don't know what he does day to day, but he's failed. And I can't see any other conclusion. He hasn't got the contract sorted. He's failed. If people say he can only do what he's operating in financially and it's up to the owners, don't care, he's failed. Leave, quit. You know, resign and say that you resigned because they were making you look bad and they were making you unable to do your job. Simple as that for me. But then again, I'm a fairly black and white person, and yeah. Liam said, we need to protest. Nothing's going to change. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call that one a night because, as I mentioned, I'm worried I'll say something that'll get me in trouble, and I'm worried I'll just quit because I'm tired and I'm browbeaten and I'm swimming against the tide and I'm doubting my own morals and belief system at this point. That's how tired I feel about it all. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. There'll just be 2 bits of content coming out tomorrow. If you can hit the like button for me before you head out and get us up to 1,000, that'd be amazing. I will have a news video out tomorrow in the afternoon and a stream tomorrow evening. But I will catch you then. There'll be an update video coming out in the next few minutes. Do keep an eye out for that one. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you all. Frankie, thank you for joining Anfield Agenda Ultras again, mate. 16 months as a member. Absolute gentleman. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Thank you for your time. Much